I'm about to travel around in one of these for 12 months a year for only $15,000. And today we're talking about how to do it. What's up, YouTube? I'm Zach with Bus Voyage, and today we're talking about how to travel the country for $15,000 a year in a converted school bus and actually save and invest money for your future while you're doing it. All right, let's jump in. So most people think that traveling in a school bus while actually making money and even investing money is unrealistic. They think that this isn't something that they can achieve, but I honestly disagree. I think this is something that most people can actually achieve. And especially if you're young and maybe you don't have a family yet, I think this is something that's super achievable in the next year or two. So in this video, I'm gonna go over my plan of how I am preparing my life to live this lifestyle, to travel the country 12 months a year, to explore, but also make a good salary and invest at the same time. So my plan has 4 steps. So the first step is to buy and convert a used bus. Now, this one already sounds like quite a hurdle to come over, but really, again, I think this is achievable for most people. Now, buses, the reason I choose a bus instead of maybe a van, like you've probably heard about van life, the reason I choose a bus over a van is because buses are actually a lot cheaper than vans. And so if you choose to go with bus life, you could buy one for potentially as little as $3,000 or $4,000. Now that's assuming a short bus. If you get a long bus, you could actually go cheaper. Personally, I like the short buses just because they're easier to fit in a parking spot and they're more realistic, easier to convert. So for $3,000 to $4,000, you can buy a short bus. Then for a few more $1,000s, you can convert that short bus into a full-time living situation. Now, this one definitely can get pricey if you're not careful about it, but if you're smart with the way you convert it, these can be converted for a total of $10,000 or less, including the price to buy the bus. So if this is something that interests you, I definitely think you should look more into it because there's a lot of potential to convert these for super cheap. Now, another part of converting this bus that might seem like a hurdle is, well, the actual hurdle of converting the bus. It's a large project and there is a lot that goes into it. However, I also think this is something that most people can do. You know, before I started converting my bus, I had no experience in woodworking, metalworking, building things, using most power tools. I had used a drill and a saw once or twice, but nothing beyond that. And so it's been a huge learning experience for me. But again, if you're willing to take on that challenge and learn something new, I think this is something that you can achieve. Once you have your bus converted, the next step will be to find a remote working situation. Now, remote working situations might seem like they're difficult to come by, and they can be to some degree. However, there are a lot of opportunities out there, especially in 2020. There are more opportunities than ever before to work remotely. So personally, I'm working remotely as a software developer, which has been a great opportunity for me. Now, I know that software isn't what everyone wants to do. It doesn't jive with everybody. So luckily, there are a lot of other opportunities to work remotely. A couple examples of jobs where you can work remotely are things such as programming, designer, customer service, copywriter, virtual assistant, and especially in 2020, with so many jobs going remote, even things like sales in many situations are moving away from the office model and towards the work from home model. And so this leaves a ton of opportunities for people who even are new to the workforce. Maybe you feel like you don't have a ton of skills, you don't have a ton of skills that transfer to remote skills. You can still find tons of opportunities to work remote and allow yourself to leave the stationary lifestyle and move to one where you can travel full time. Personally though, I would recommend looking at either sales jobs or programming jobs. Now, the reason for this is that both of these jobs are huge in abundance. There's tons of them out there. And they can both be gotten with relatively low experience levels. Sales, pretty much anyone who can be charismatic and speak well can probably land a sales job in some degree. And as far as programming, there might be a little bit more technical knowledge required here. However, before going into programming, it was kind of daunting and it was kind of scary. And it was something that I didn't know if I could do. But after getting into the field, what I've realized is that with enough dedication, honestly, programming is something that anyone can do. It just takes work and dedication to get through it. But those are my recommendations for remote jobs. Go ahead and drop a comment below if you have other ideas of remote jobs that you think would be good for facilitating this lifestyle. Now, once you've achieved steps 1 and 2, you have bought and converted a bus, and you have a job that allows you to work remotely, you're ready to do it. You're ready to jump in the bus, start your job, and work from anywhere. Now, to truly make this a sustainable opportunity, the third step is to minimize expenses, because although you've gotten a remote job, many remote jobs don't pay as well just because you have the added benefit of working remotely. And so what I recommend is cutting it down to the essentials and only spending what you need to spend. So personally, I've gone ahead and I've budgeted out what I plan to spend once I start living in the bus full time. Now, living in the bus, it's already going to be a little bit easier to cut down to the bare essentials, because just by living in the bus, you're going to cut out some of your biggest expenses. You're going to cut out rent altogether, and you're going to cut out electricity if you've gone ahead and you've set up a solar system. Now, I think that's already a huge benefit, because I know for myself, rent is the largest expense in my life. And so being able to cut that out has allowed me to save so much more and invest so much more. So the expenses that I'm budgeting for are as follows. So first, water. Living in a bus, you constantly have to fill up your water just to make sure that you have water to survive. And so you can find water anywhere from gas stations to Walmart to friends' houses. And a lot of times that water will be free, but I wanted to go ahead and throw it in the budget just to be safe in case I ended up paying for it sometimes. So I've budgeted $50 a month for water, which adds up to, multiplied by 12 months, $600 a year. Next, I've went ahead and budgeted for gas. So I would assume you're probably gonna need gas while traveling in your bus, just for things like a water heater if you have one, or potentially a stove or a cooking situation. And so for myself, again, I budgeted $50 a month for gas, which totals up to $600 a year in gas. That brings our total currently to $1,200. The third expense that I budgeted for is internet. Now, I've budgeted $100 a month for internet, which might seem kind of steep, and to be honest, it is. But the reason that I budgeted so much is because living in a bus, you're probably gonna have to go with a more expensive internet package. Maybe you have to go with a hotspot from your cellular provider or find alternative options. Either way, it's probably not gonna be quite as cheap as traditional internet. And so I've went ahead and budgeted $100 a month, which turns into $1,200 a year on internet. Now, the next expense that I'm budgeting for is food. Now, food is one that varies a lot. It varies among different people, and it even varies with myself from month to month. Some months I go out more, some months I cook more. However, in general, I try to eat for as cheap as possible while still keeping a healthy diet. So for myself, I've budgeted $500 a month for food. And I think this accounts for healthy grocery shopping every month while still maybe going out a couple times a month here and there. Now, $500 a month times 12 months adds up to $6,000 a year in food. The next thing I've budgeted for is repairs. Now, this is one that it might not be consistent from month to month, but I wanted to throw it into the budget monthly just so that when it does come up once or twice a year, I have that budgeted out and I'm ready to take care of it. So personally, I've budgeted $400 a month for repairs, and I had some trouble coming up with exactly what the best number for this was, but I like that because that comes out to a total of $4,800 a year, which I think is enough for even a larger year of expenses. If maybe I need new tires in the bus, or if something in the engine blows, I think it's a good number to still take care of most expenses. And then finally, I wanted to create a miscellaneous expense, and so I've budgeted $200 a month for miscellaneous expenses. And this is things like, maybe I wanted to buy some new clothes, maybe I wanted to buy a new video game, maybe I, was shopping on Amazon and found something I like. Now, personally, I try to limit miscellaneous expenses because I find that most things that I think I need, in the end, I don't actually need, and they just take up space. Especially when you're living in a bus, it becomes difficult to buy miscellaneous things just because you start running out of room for them pretty quickly. So at $200 a month for miscellaneous expenses, that brings us to $2,400 a year in miscellaneous expenses. And adding this all up, we get a total of $15,600 in expenses per year, which is just slightly over our estimated $15,000. Now, this is great because this is cheaper than most people are able to live, even with a standard living situation with a house or an apartment. A lot of people, depending where you live, might spend more than this just in rent, which personally is one of the reasons that I love bus life. And so this brings us to step 4. So the fourth and final step in my plan is to invest. So because I've budgeted out my life in such a way where I can live on just over $15,000 a year, that allows me to take all of my extra income and throw it in investment accounts. And this is great because although I love the idea of bus life and I'm really excited to be living in it full time, I know that I'm going to get to a point in my life where I want to settle down. Maybe I want to buy a house, or maybe I just decide the bus isn't right for me and I figure it out from there. Either way, it's good to have a little extra. And for that, I use Robinhood to invest. So if you haven't heard of Robinhood, it's awesome. If you're interested in checking out Robinhood and getting started, I have a link down in the comments below where you can get a free stock to get you started. Hope this helped you, and I hope this inspired you to fulfill your plans and maybe live cheaper, live mobily, get on the road. Let me know in the comments below what this inspired you to do, what your plans are, and how you hope to change your life in the near future. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for new videos every Thursday.
And if you want to learn more about the bus conversion process, or you just enjoy watching us do it, feel free to watch some more of our videos, over here, or over here.